Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elder Scrolls Lore, and now today we're going to be talking about Fasil Umbranox, who many of you probably don't know of unless you watched the last video. Then you got a hint of what he was, but he actually has quite the interesting tale, and kind of this whole topic in general gives us a little bit more insight about things we might not particularly have a lot of recorded information about, because you have to do a lot of digging to get to this. So, in 249 of the Third Era, Haemon Camoran began his invasion of Valenwood with his army of mercenaries, undead, and Daedra. Within 2 years, the Camoran usurper had claimed the throne of Valenwood, and with his power base secured, he then aimed for Colovia, where he sacked Kvatch. Hammerfell was then conquered in a 13-year-long bloody war. And in the midst of the chaos, Anvil was reduced to nothing more than just simple huts in a ramshackle town. Castle Anvil was gone and destroyed by the criminals that now found a haven within the city, most notably the Red Saber pirates, who held the city within their grasp and controlled everything around the area. This is where our character comes in, Fasil Umbranox. When the usurper was ravaging the coast of West Tamriel, Fasil served the Empire during a time of civil war between Sephirus II and Andarach Septim. Fasil was in the Imperial Navy and fought for less than a capable Sephirus II. The civil war ended with Andarach receiving the kingdom of Shornhelm in High Rock. Once Fasil had concluded his time participating in the civil war, he set out to High Rock, where the usurper had invaded in 266 of the Third Era. However, it is unknown if he participated, because there is a note that the members of High Rock united in an alliance to defeat the usurper without Imperial aid. However, I find this whole note a little untrustworthy for two specific reasons. To begin with, relations between Cyrodiil and High Rock were not that great to begin with. Sephirus II was predominantly busy fighting that of his cousin in Andarach Septim during the Civil War, and neglected High Rock. He did send mercenaries, but they were bribed or blackmailed, or really just didn't help much at all during this, and essentially didn't prove to do much. At the same time, Andarach technically lost the war, and I would only say this because he didn't get the crown of the Empire. He was given the kingdom of Shornhelm and High Rock, and then simply left. And then Sephirus II was a Nord who tended to prefer matters in Skyrim and Morrowind over that of High Rock, which didn't help things either. Furthermore, it was an alliance between the Bretons that defeated the Camoran usurper, not the Empire. So, with that being said, there was an initial drive to further patriotism and independence from the Empire, so it all seems likely that any aid from the Empire would have been omitted to help further this cause. The second reason I have comes from that of the Red Saber captain's journal. And here he states, and quote, "I curse the day that the Camoran usurper died at the war, that the war ended, cause it was that day that Commodore Fasil Umbranox turned its attention to the Red Saber." End quote. This heavily implies that Fasil took part in the Battle of Fire Waves in 267 of the Third Era. Dougal continued to say that a couple months after, Fasil began to hunt for him, and essentially that kind of proves that he had to have been in the area or come into an effect to help put an end to that of the Camoran usurper. So that is why I find that the fact that the Empire didn't help a little untrustworthy, because we do have a recorded event that the Empire was in the area during the time of the defeat of the Camoran usurper, not to mention that this specific person mentions that he took part in it as well. So that is why I kind of go with the fact that he did take part in this battle. So then we get into the main event with Fasil and Dougal. In 267 to 268 of the Third Era, Fasil was tasked with finding the Red Sabers, and this is where we get to know a little bit more about his character. He began island hopping and rooted out Dougal's men, where he jailed those who surrendered and killed those who resisted, which shows his appreciation for the law. He didn't kill those who surrendered, which also suggests that he wasn't cruel either and was relatively fair. In 268 of the Third Era, Dougal tried to lure Fasil's ships into the Anvil Bay, but Fasil outmaneuvered him and trapped Dougal in the bay. A battle ensued, and Dougal's fleet was relatively destroyed, and he tried to flee. But the battle mages on Fasil's ship caused a nearby cliff to collapse onto Dougal's ship and ended the battle. Now, Fasil was named Count of Anvil as a reward and given the necessary funds to rebuild the city, to which he did. First, he did burn down the ramshackle town and drove away all the criminals, and then built the brand new city on top of its ashes, and built Castle Anvil on top of the cliff that had buried Dougal's ship, the Black Flag. Now, it's assumed that Fasil's descendants went on to rule Anvil for centuries after, but we don't really have any concrete proof of this. As for Dougal, he and his crew were trapped in the new burrow that was formed when the cliff collapsed, and he died 20 years later in 286 of the Third Era. And that is all we have. So I found Fasil relatively interesting when it came to everything because we didn't have a lot of information on him, but going into other topics and digging into other areas, we definitely find out that there is a lot more to him that is explicitly known. We get a little bit more about his life and what he did and participated in, and he played a pretty big part in Anvil's history, you know, in terms of rebuilding the city into what we see in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. So I just took that into account and did a little bit of research into that, and that was a lot of fun to do, actually. He was one of the first few that kind of stuck out during my research of the Colovians. So with that, if you have any other characters you'd like to have a specific video on that are in Colovia or around that area, please let me know in the comments below or in the Discord chat. That's easier. The link is in the description below to join, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace. If you enjoyed, please like this video because it really lets me know you're enjoying this content. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The links are right here for you to click on, and the Discord chat link is right here as well. And overall, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.